Welcome back to the news, everyone. So, more Blizzard layoffs, and right at the same time, when old Bobby is getting $200 million. That's quite a lot of money, isn't it? Now, all of this is happening as we've also got rumblings of an unannounced Blizzard project to talk about, as well as, of course, the investor that is particularly pissed off at Bobby Kotick. Speaking of Bobby Kotick, well, Bobby Kotick is a man who, just like you and me, can't watch Interstellar on Netflix without hopping over to Canada using today's sponsor, nordvpn.com/Bellular News. Code Bellular News, where you will get yourself a 2-year plan with a huge discount plus an extra month for free. Now, why use a VPN? I mean, it's pretty simple. Like my example, do you want to watch content from another region, say on Netflix? Easy. You just use Nord's 5,000 plus servers to choose your location and use the internet as if you were there. Check out Japanese Netflix. It's pretty different. They also, of course, have security benefits. They keep you private. Your ISP won't know what sites you use. That means they can't sell your browsing data on. It also means they can't, prioritize some of the sites that you use over others. That's all pretty awesome. They're also registered in Panama, so your government can't get to them. They're also having NordLocker, which is 500 gigs of secure storage for just £1.10 a month, and NordPass for your passwords as well. So you get all that in the app and the browser extension that are super easy to use, and you can get that huge discount and the free month at nordvpn.com/Bellular News with that Bellular News promo code. A big thank you to Nord for supporting the channel, and with that said, oh boy, it's time to talk about Bobby. Activision-Blizzard initially announced a wave of layoffs that did include 50 employees who worked on esports stuff. Mostly it's, like live events, so the Call of Duty League and the Overwatch League. Now, the spin that was put on this, that it was just them focusing less on live events. However, while that is what came out and was very obvious, it turns out that actually up to 190 employees might be impacted here, according to one of Bloomberg's sources, and that is actually across Blizzard, Activision, and King. So potentially quite a few people are actually going from the company. Now, the company explains that this is down to players choosing to go digital with the pandemic. So yes, obviously live events won't be needed right now. We're at the later stages of a pandemic, so I say right now because surely they'll be needed soon enough. Unless it actually turns out that Activision-Blizzard just plan to focus less on big live events. And I suppose you can see the logic there. If you're getting digital and live producing similar viewership numbers, but digital is far cheaper to put on, yeah, you're going to want to do more digital. Now, still, you do lose out on these big events that are almost a temple to your brand, right? That kind of almost quasi-religion thing. You can be damn sure that Riot Games don't need to put on an elaborate stage performance, live show, musical thing with holograms just for a League of Legends match. But if they do that, it sure does galvanize the community and get people talking, doesn't it? Makes it feel like a big thing. But getting people talking and, oh, it's a big thing, that's a bit fluffy, isn't it? It's hard to justify, and if you are I'd say a ruthless optimizer and cost cutter, you could see stuff like that going away. Now, these employees are getting 90 days severance and health benefits for a year, and $200 Bnet gift card. Yep. Now, of course, a $200 Battle.net gift card is free for the company to give away. You might say, oh no, it's $200. Well, no, it's 200 virtual dollars that don't really exist that are, of course, spent on the Blizzard digital store. Now, everything that you can get with a Battle.net gift card is, when you come down to it, a database entry, right? It's a flag on a user account. So that is $200. It doesn't cost them anything. And, I think a lot of those employees, they'd be like, well, could it not be an Amazon gift card? That could actually be useful. Or, maybe, I guess, what is that, a few hours more severance? So it's one of those things, right? Actually, the $200 gift card, it doesn't matter, but it's just that thing where perception-wise, to some people, oh yeah, $200, at least they're covering my WoW subscription for a bit. But to other people, it's like a kick in the teeth. Now, speaking of kicks in the teeth, this comes as Bobby gets $200 million. Ever heard of optics? So, the whole point of Bobby Kotick's job is steering the ship, right? Making those really big, extremely expensive calls. It's that responsibility. And having a workforce that is aligned with the company's strategic goals, that is a part of Bobby Kotick's job. Now, just like how you can be paid to hire people, you can also be paid to fire people. Because really, running a company is about, when you really get down to it, the efficient allocation of capital. And really that's where it gets people, right? Because $200 million, that is a lot of money, and in the face of layoffs, it is a pretty damn terrible look. It really does make it feel like the layoffs weren't needed. You know, that value was floating around at the company, so it does make it feel like they weren't needed. Though, of course, if you don't want to be in the game of live productions, then why would you keep people hired who do live productions? You know, bonus being put aside, why would you do that? And then also, live productions are capital-intensive endeavors. There's a lot of expense that comes in doing a BlizzCon that is not just the salaries of the Activision-Blizzard salaried employees involved. You've got all of the contractors who will work in setting it up, all of, the materials, the resources, the security, all of that stuff that is extremely expensive. Almost certainly a lot more expensive than these jobs we're talking about right now, but obviously is not captured in a discussion like this. So yes, it's like 50 esports jobs are going for live events, but that's 50 jobs, many of which will be job roles that are handling a whole bunch of other people and a whole bunch of expense. But even with that, you just get down to it, it's like, yeah, $200 million bonus while that's going on is a bloody bad look. Now, Bobby usually brings home a bit more than $30 million a year. Now, that is a bit in cash and a lot in stock. And that stock has done incredibly well. I mean, it's from the $40 range when Destiny got the boot and they plummeted a bit, to the mid-90s, to low hundreds in these days. I mean, this stock has consistently done well. It's up like 1,400% since 2005 versus the S&P 500 index, which is up 400% since then. If you've had your money, if you have decided to invest your money with Bobby Kotick, yeah, you've had a pretty damn nice time, haven't you? Now, this performance ties into the Shareholder Value Creation Incentive, which is a part of Bobby Kotick's employment agreement, and it basically allows him to receive a full payout from previous years. And you know what, I don't think it's actually worth going into the technicals of how this stuff works, but basically the point is he can get a big reward now because of that incredible stock performance. Now, we know about this because of CTW, who are an activist investor. Jargon lesson! Okay, an activist investor is an investor who uses their investment to advocate for something. Now, when you think of an activist, you might be thinking of people taking to the streets, stuff like that, protests, all that jazz. Not really so here, because here, in this context, an activist investor is just an investor who wants to be, doing an active role. So an activist investor could try to wrangle control of a company's board and then make cutthroat decisions to boost the share price. Google Elliott Management if you want a few stories of how an activist investor can feel pretty damn bad for people. Now, in this case, CTW is actually an activist investor that is a little bit more focused on social stuff. I've done their bio in a previous video before, so I'm not going to do it again. But they're basically taking the opinion that inflated CEO salaries are not commensurate with what those CEOs deserve, and therefore are not in the best interest of the shareholders long term, right? And that's basically exactly what they said here. It is their shtick, so of course we're getting their shtick here. Yes, they say the shareholder returns have been great, but they don't think that it's all Bobby Kotick's fault, to the tune of him getting a $200 million payout. Now sure, some bonus or whatever may be in order, whatever, but the point is they feel that this is really quite excessive. Now look at the situation, you and me, we're sitting here and we are earning like regular human amounts of money a year for the job that we're doing, right? And then you see the likes of Bobby and this crazy stuff going on. I find a helpful analogy here is actually football. The amount of money that is paid, purchasing a football player from another team seems so insane and so crazily inflated. But it's kind of like the point there where that player is sort of seen as a very, very, low supply resource that a team needs, so they're willing to pay a whole bunch of money, and that player generally will have a humongous responsibility to perform on the day. And that stuff leads to this sort of crazy market forming where, these football players are just commanding insane salaries and insane, fees to move across the teams, right? And with CEOs and stuff, I'm beginning to think it's kind of like that, There's not that many of them, and just for whatever reason, they end up going with these humongous incentives to try to get them. You always hear CEOs being sniped and all that jazz going on. But yeah, it's one of those things where the rules that inform the sorts of salaries that the vast majority of humans get kind of just don't apply at that level, which I'd say is potentially a very bad thing. Can go quite wrong, can feel weird, and obviously that a lot of that happens to Activision-Blizzard. And of course, it's the sort of thing, we bring it back to video games. I cover World of Warcraft on a daily basis, right? It's like the other channel, the larger channel that we've got, it is the WoW stuff. And it is bloody frustrating there because, we're always sitting there thinking, how is the most successful, revenue-wise, MMO in the world, how does it feel like it's got a shoestring budget and a team that can barely keep up with the amount of content that they made years ago? And that's in spite of it being a bigger team, and I would have said that pre-pandemic as well. You're like, what is going on there? How is it that the community team always seems to be so resource-starved as compared to other companies? What is going on? It's as if it is optimized for profitability so much and so early that it's actually sacrificing growth or sacrificing potential. So even as a player of Activision-Blizzard games, and if I was to totally just be honestly a total dickhead and not care about the employees and only care about the games, even then, they're bloody frustrating because it just feels like they're always skimping out just a little bit, and then you see Bobby get his 200 million. Now, part of their overall plan strategically does involve hiring thousands of devs over the next few years. That is obviously exactly what they need to be doing here. It's just a pity about the rest. Now, guess what this story overshadowed? It overshadowed potentially good news about fresh Blizzard games. So, unfortunate for them that it overshadowed that story, but here is the story. So Blizzard have posted a bunch of jobs for an upcoming and unannounced action FPS project. Among the many new job listings posted on their careers website was a mid-level or associate combat designer role, just as an example, and requirements for this role included broad, extensive player experience with FPS and action games, both single-player and online. Other positions, both lead and senior, range from character concept and environment artist to, say, systems and, content designers, game producer as well. Now, these are explicitly separate from advertised Overwatch 2 positions. They obviously could maybe tie into an Overwatch 2 or an existing IP. It could be a totally new IP, though. And what we do know is a Blizz artist tweeted that it is the best project and team I've ever worked on in my career. And then a senior UI and concept artist said that it is one of the coolest projects I've ever worked on, if not the best. So, sounds neat. Those people seem pretty hyped up about it, but it's too early to really say much. Now, I will say here, if you've got internal Blizzard teams who are actually working on longer-term projects that'll kick in say, the mid-2020s. If we've got that, we've also got Vicarious Visions, a real rockstar team coming off the successes of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered, and they are basically a part of Blizzard Entertainment now. Well, it does actually bode well for Blizzard beyond Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. It actually does speak to an exciting mid-2020s for the company. And that's what they're going to need, because Riot is going to be putting the S in Riot Games in an even more major way than they already have. And that's including a new MMORPG that is being led by World of Warcraft's Ghostcrawler. I mean, that's big. And then even you've got the likes of, say, Dreamhaven, who may even be coming for a bit of Blizzard's role. I mean, it's Mike Morhaim's company, right? And Mike Morhaim does have a lot of money, especially as that Activision-Blizzard stock has went up, because you can be damn sure that a lot of Mike's wealth is going to be in Activision-Blizzard stock. Then it hit an all-time high, like last month or something, so dude's got the cash. There you go. That is it for think basically it was a bunch of news that decided to just, go straight into a Blizzard, Blizzard video, and this is what came out. So I hope you found this interesting. I hope this is, giving you some news. Also, maybe you've learned a few things about a few topics. Very fun to put together. Let me know what you think, though. These jobs, do you think it is the sort of thing that they should be moving away from, these live events, and maybe shifting digital and focusing on that stuff more? What do you think's going on? And, $200 million for Bobby. What do you think about that? Yikes. So that's it for me. Thank you to nordvpn.com/Bellular News for sponsoring today's video. And with that said, I'll see you next time.